this is totally not Danzig, and you're listening to the Shred Shack.
Greetings, folks. I'm Dan Mack.
And this is Chris Mack.
Welcoming you to episode 97 of the Shred Shack podcast. We're getting so close to that episode where I don't have to say a word.
the Clips episode.
Clips episode,
Clips
yes.
episode.
The Clip Show, the obligatory Clip Show every 2 seasons. Your premier source of news and uninformed yet heavily biased opinions pertaining to all things heavy metal, airing in the whenever. It's supposed to be bi-weekly, but this
When we get around to it.
Yeah, it's been a month since our last one, so
unfortunately.
Which would make you think there'd be more news, but there's not.
I'm sure there has been. It's just I have not had a chance to keep up on anything.
I went through everything in the last month.
The interesting thing I've been reading up on, or I've been trying to follow up on right now, is that apparently this guy created this whole ridiculous scheme and got booked for a European tour based on lies.
Yeah, I saw an article. I saw the article headline on Facebook about that, but I didn't actually read it.
Oh, it's expanding. It's like this guy, not only did he fake he faked a booking agency, a record label, a fan base. He faked everything, created aliases. I mean, we're talking about Shawshank Redemption type shit here.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
That's pretty wild. But that guy isn't legit. We're legit. We're airing weekly or bi-weekly or whenever on iTunes, Mixcloud, Google Play for now, as well as on YouTube at youtube.com/The Shred Shack and youtube.com/Adamant's Templum.
Just crawling towards that number 100.
Oh yeah, we're getting there. It's gonna be it's gonna be a sweet day, and then it's gonna be a mouthful thereafter. Say 101, 102. But for right now, let's go into some old business.
Old business is old business, and new business is new business.
We have no old business. Fuck that shit.
Everything's old business
And
right
this
now.
is new business, and we do not discuss new business until next quarter.
Yes, technically everything is old business, but like I said, we haven't done this in a month. So all this is dating back to news from about a month because I was trying to actually keep up with it.
Yeah, I started off okay, and then just shit hit fan.
Yeah.
It was all over from there.
Speaking of shit hits the fan, let's start off with the sad parts.
Well, album releases.
Oh, yes.
Let's start off something good.
I keep forgetting because there's nothing written in there, so I
I
just
know.
skipped over it.
All right,
so
so
album releases.
Yeah, so the only new record I've listened to recently, and it came out a little while ago, but it's the new record from Behemoth. I think it's called At Your Darkest Hour, if I remember correctly. And if you guys have listened to the podcast at all, you know that between me and Pete, we stuck enough Behemoth dick on this thing to make our own porno. Exactly. But the fact of the matter is that they deserve every last bit of that schlong slopping because this record is actually incredible. Like, they had to follow up The Satanist, which was one of the best records I listened to in a long time. Mm-hmm. And they followed it up pretty magnificently. And I think there was a lot of a little bit of a shift in songwriting for Nurgle himself after he did the his side project, the little like country-ish thing. I forgot what it was called. Me and That Man. And because, of course, it has your typical extreme metal sounds most of the time. You know, some blast beats, really fast riffage here. But then some of the best songs have more of a cleaner tone, a little bit more mellower tone, but it's still heavy as shit. And he doesn't do any clean singing. He just does his normal harsh growling throughout all of it. But it's just so good. Well-written songs. Everything about it is just fantastic.
Has he ever done any clean sing on these albums?
On Behemoth Records? No.
Yeah, okay.
No. If anything, it's more spoken word than anything else, if there is anything clean on it.
Gotcha. All right, so I don't have anything new. I've been focusing on past months because I'm trying to get through all the old top 3 videos to get caught up. So hopefully by January we're back to making full-fledged top 3 videos. So I have been listening to a lot of just random songs from stuff that came out in June, which we put up the video for June. I tried to put it up on the Facebook page, but for some reason, after 2 attempts, it wouldn't let me post anything. This was a week ago. And now I'm on July, and always finding good stuff, of course. And the other thing I've been listening to for the last few days, I actually picked up. I'm working on a thing now where when I have some free cash, I'll buy an album to fill in the gaps of a collection. So I'm focusing on one collection and going from there. And the first one that I'm working on is the rest of the Blaze Bayley catalog.
Oh, there you go.
So I picked up the first Infinite Entanglement album. He has a trio of albums out right now. Every year he's released the Infinite Entanglement Part 1, 2, 3. So I finally bought the first part of it, which made me go back and listen to the second part of it, because the second part of it is, I feel, a lot better. And I think it's one of his best albums in years. The second one, I mean. So I've listened to that like 6 times. So it kind of just flows, so you never notice that it's over, but it's really, really fucking good. And anybody who hates Blaze Bayley, it's a damn shame, because he does put out some quality fucking material, especially with his current band, like current backing band. They are fucking heavy as shit. So
Nice.
And that's mostly been it so far. So.
Oh, well, the other things I've been listening to really is I had like this whole nostalgia kick all of a sudden.
That happens every so often.
It does happen every so often, because what happened was I was at the gym one day and I was listening to Rainbow, and that turned into going to work and putting on background noise of the Pandora Rainbow station. So that means you get a lot of Rainbow, you get a lot of Dio solo, you get a lot of Ozzy Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Scorpions, a whole lot of Scorpions. It's like one of those things like, man, why didn't you tell me the Scorpions were so fucking good?
Yeah, the Scorpions don't get enough credit, I feel. Like,
no, they don't. They don't get enough credit at all.
And it's not even dependent on era, because they started off more psychedelic a bit, and then moved into that arena rock sound that you know from Rocky Like a Hurricane and whatnot. But no matter what era it's from, it's always good. And Klaus Meine is one of those singers that I'm consistently amazed by the fact that he is very unique. You know it's him singing.
You know it's him singing. You cannot mistake his voice for anybody else's.
And his voice has not changed.
No, it has not.
It sounds almost exactly the same as it did way back when. Like you can listen to Love at First Sting, and you can listen to Humanity Hour Volume 1, and you can be like, wow, this is exactly the same man. You know it for sure. It's like nothing's happened. I know, though, right now he's apparently they had to cancel a show recently so he can rest his voice. So that might be a little bit of age wear and tear right there. But
they've been doing it for 50 years.
Yeah, the sound is still like exactly the same, and it's amazing, and it's. I think I made mention of it in the Blind Guardian review. It's German singers. They have this grit and ability to sound exactly the same for years.
David Hasselhoff.
Well, I'm talking about like Hansi. Hansi has.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, there's been Piet Sielk from Iron Savior has not sounded any different from album to album. It's so amazing. The only person I would say that has changed and evolved is Tobias Sammet from Avantasia,
yeah.
And he got way better because he I don't know, took lessons or something like that. But he got like way better from their initial debut.
Well, speaking of sound and things that still sound as good as they did back then, what I did for my weekend of Uber this weekend is plugged in my old iPod and just put on Black Sabbath. It was the first Black Sabbath record because it comes up alphabetically. Mm-hmm. And the first person who got in my car is like, oh, wow, who is this? What's going on here? Because it's kind of low. You can't really make it out. Like, oh, dude, this is Black Sabbath. Oh, man, this sounds just as if it was recorded today. I'm like, hell yeah, because Black Sabbath hasn't, like... that sound has not gone away. And
another thing. Like the Black Sabbath albums, like quality wise, production wise, they were actually very, very good.
They're, I think, a little bit ahead of their time, especially with how quickly they were recorded. When you read the history of how they recorded some of these albums, we recorded an album in 72 hours, a whole fucking album, you know. And the fact is that like it just sounds as free and and focused at the same time as it does as some of the music that's out there today.
You know, the albums that take like 5 years to make.
Yeah.
It sounds that was the thing about the '70s. You know, was that people were churning out albums by almost necessity because the record companies were demanding it.
Right.
But artists like Kiss, if you're a Kiss fan, first 4 albums right up until Alive were like
Right. Yeah.
bam, rapid fire, and they were quality work. They were still quality work. So.
And then, after Black Sabbath, what's in alphabetically, Dehumanizer comes up,
Okay.
and people don't really recognize Dio as the singer of Black Sabbath. He doesn't have the recognizable songs unless you're a fan.
Yeah.
So when you say, "Oh, what are we listening to?" It's like, "Oh, this is Black Sabbath." They're like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is Black Sabbath." When Dio was the singer, it's like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, I remember way back when, before I started really getting into music, we had the Wayne's World soundtrack on cassette, which I still have,
Time Machine.
and Time Machine is on there, and a better version of Time Machine is actually on there because if you listen to the album, there's 2 versions.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Wayne's World version is much better, but I remember being very confused by that at a younger age and saying like this doesn't sound anything like the Black Sabbath that I've heard elsewhere.
Yeah, I was under the same impression, and also when a buddy of mine had the Live Evil album,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and I think we were listening to either NIB or War Pigs, and I'm waiting for Ozzy to come in, and it's Dio. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
At first I'm like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah.
Who is this guy singing?
I think the with the Live Evil album, I feel like Dio's not suited to the same vocal style as Ozzy. So some of those songs do like to this day still don't exactly sit well. Like the staccato singing of NIB is not to Ronnie's style.
Yeah.
He's more holding notes and whatnot, or just a little bit more.
He's more
loose.
melodic and less speak voice.
Yeah.
Ozzy's more speak voice, I think.
Yeah, and it was a strange thing for Dio to have to kind of work with that. Some songs obviously work well, but NIB in particular, I think, was one of the ones that kind of suffered a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. Besides my nostalgia kick.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's go on to what I was doing before, which was the sad start. And this first one, it feels like it happened a long time ago because like there's been so much extra news surrounding.
And this actually happened, I think, right after our last podcast.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit over a month, and yeah, we'll get into that in just a minute. So according to TMZ, Ollie Herbert, he's a founding member and lead guitarist of All That Remains, was found dead near his home in Connecticut. He was 44 years old. The police were dispatched to his Stafford Springs residence Tuesday afternoon, way back when, after somebody reported him missing. Cops searched the area and found Ollie in a nearby pond. Police sources say the death does not appear to be suspicious, but an autopsy needs to be performed to confirm the cause and manner of death. The Connecticut Medical Examiner is investigating.
While getting the news together, I saw that the drowning. He did drown. And
He
everything,
did die of drowning, but he had
antidepressants
and
sleeping pills in
Yeah.
him when he drowned. So
he probably overdosed himself. I don't want to say overdosed. Maybe just, I don't know. Something happened where he may take too many pills, went to the pond to take a look, and fell asleep in the pool or in the pond or something like that.
or
Unfortunate accident, it seems like.
Yeah, like just walking near it and tripped, fell, and was too tired to do anything. But either way, it's terrible. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're gonna get to a little bit more news later because again, a lot of stuff has been popping up regarding this. But I think this comes up another like 2-3 times.
Okay.
So.
All right. Godsmack was forced to postpone their previously announced European tour following the unexpected death of the son of guitarist Tony Rambola. No cause of death has been published or speculated at this time. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, Todd Youth Schofield. He was born in 1971. He was best known for his work in Warzone, Murphy's Law, and Danzig. He passed away at the age of 47.
I think in that article they didn't give a cause of death.
Right.
So I don't know what he died of, but the young age, 47.
Yeah,
So-
certainly.
So I can only imagine what the cause of death was. Next section is yet another downer
Yeah,
part.
we start off with the down, but then we end up going back up, especially once we get to recording news. So let's just get through this. Okay?
Yeah,
Let's just blow through this one.
Yeah.
All right. So Manowar released a short statement regarding the arrest of their guitarist Carl Logan on charges of possessing child pornography. The band wrote with regard to Carl Logan's arrest and the charges against him, due to the fact that Carl and his attorneys are dealing with these issues, he will not perform with Manowar. The new album and upcoming tour will not be affected. Logan, who is 53 years old, was arrested on August 9th in Charlotte, North Carolina, and charged with 6 counts of third-degree exploitation of a minor. The arrest was made by the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, and the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department is the investigating agency.
Now there was another article that went a little bit further into the arrest and the
details of what he had.
the details of it, but I don't need to really.
No,
I don't want to know.
no, it's
Honestly, it's
No
like
bueno.
you lost me at child pornography.
rough. Pretty much.
I mean, come on, you're even in jails, you're the worst of the worst. You're the ones they focus on and will batter the living piss out of. So, I mean, fuck you, buddy,
Yeah, for real.
for real.
For real.
So let's move on to some general news.
Okay, here we go. A lawsuit filed by 4 former members of Ghost against the band's leader has been dismissed by a Swedish court. Tobias Forge, who founded the group 8 years ago, was sued by 4 ex-members in April of 2017 who accused the singer of cheating them out of their rightful share of the profits from the band's album releases and world tours.
We did talk about this like at one point when it first happened.
When it first came up, yeah.
Yeah.
The lawsuit claimed that a partnership agreement existed between Forge and the 4 former members. Forge responded that no legal partnership ever existed between him and the other members, that they were paid a fixed salary to perform as his backing band, and that they were essentially session musicians. The former members of Ghost have since vowed to appeal the dismissal of their lawsuit.
Yeah, the way that they did the articles was like day one was the dismissal of the lawsuit, and then like the following day it's like they're gonna appeal it.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been anything on that since then, as far as I can tell. But I mean, they're gonna keep trying.
I'm sure they will.
So
I'm sure they will.
yeah.
All right. Sworn Enemy has signed with M Theory Audio. The label released the group's 6th album, produced by Rob Flynn of Machine Head, in 2019.
That's more so recording news, but I think
Whenever they do signing, I consider that like general news.
like, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Especially if they're planning an album.
But I'm not gonna. When I do it, I don't split it up like that.
Yeah.
You know, like the main article is probably about the signing, and then that little bit there is just whatever.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Metallica's October 20th concert at the Bryson Jordan Center in University Park, Pennsylvania, shattered the venue's attendance record with a crowd of 15,588 fans on hand. We are honored to host Metallica on their record-breaking performance at the Bryson Jordan Center, said General Manager Al Carosas. Carosas. Great name. Thank you to Metallica for allowing us to celebrate an extraordinary night with you. The show marked the metal band's first performance in Happy Valley since the late 1990s.
Well, I wouldn't expect a metal band to play in Happy Valley. But I'm just wondering, like, is that sold out? Is that maxed out?
They didn't say.
Did they have to make accommodations to make it that capacity, or
Who
what?
knows?
I mean,
I'm not familiar with the venue
yeah,
itself.
of course. You don't go to Happy Valley.
Well, that's Happy Valley is where Penn State plays. So I don't know if they played at the university. They said in University Park. Oh, okay. Bryce Jordan said in University Park. Okay, makes sense.
So they probably, if you said a team plays there, right?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you
I
said
don't
the
know.
team plays there.
Well, no, Penn State is when Penn State plays, they call it Happy Valley. It's the
Oh.
area they call it.
Oh, okay.
So, but the thing is, it's the city's called University Park, Pennsylvania. So maybe it's in the same general area as Penn State.
Gotcha.
So I just don't know.
Mm.
And like I said, I'm not familiar with Bryce Jordan Center.
Okay.
All right. Mascot Label Group has announced the signing of Crobot to a global recording agreement.
Mascot is kind of becoming a lot like Inside Out. Inside Out Records, I mean. In that they are becoming very, very proggy. They're becoming a name in Prague.
Right.
They're now the label for Arion.
Oh.
Yeah, like all things Arion are through the Mascot label now, which I don't know when that happened. It used to be all
I
Inside
was
Out.
gonna say, I remember him being all Inside Out.
So yeah, all Inside Out, and one or two came out in Century Media actually. The Universal Migrator albums, I have copies of them from Century Media. But they're kind of they seem to be kind of heading in that direction. They're becoming a bigger deal in that same way. But I mean, now that Inside Out is owned by Sony, I believe, it's kind of like now you have your underdog team for like prog bands and whatnot. So
Very cool. All right. Last bit of general news here. The first ever All Within My Hands Foundation Helping Hands concert and auction, which took place on November 3rd at the Masonic in San Francisco and featured a rare Metallica acoustic performance, has raised more than $1.3 million.
that's
The
a lot of
money will go to food banks and cities the band has played on in its current worldwide tour and carefully selected community colleges throughout the country. All Within My Hands is supported in these efforts by the American Association of Community Colleges and Feeding America.
And again, we've gone over this many times. Metallica being the big band that they are, it's always good that metal, that the music that a band as big as Metallica gives back in such a good way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because 1.3 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go on to some recording news.
All right, here we go. Beast in Black is putting the finishing touches on its sophomore album From Hell with Love for a February 8th, 2019 release via Nuclear Blast.
That is a phenomenal album title.
Right? Yeah. Lovely. All right, here we go. Evergrey will release their new studio album titled The Atlantic on January 25th, 2019. The band has worked extensively on the follow-up to 2016's The Storm Within. Evergrey again teamed up with Jacob Hansen, who, just like with the band's previous release and 2014's Hymns for the Broken, took care of mixing and mastering.
I actually have to. They're Evergrey is one of the ones I have to catch up on, because I haven't heard anything since the Glorious Collision, which was
Okay.
6 years ago maybe. So I'm way behind. I might have to bump them up on that collection filling list. Actually, I tried to look up their stuff on Amazon. Amazon doesn't sell it.
What?
Like they sell like one or two of the albums, but they're like $20 some odd or something. I was like, what the fuck? So I have to go through. I'll probably go through Nuclear Blast's web shop or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
but yeah.
Dream Theater singer James Labrie will guest on the debut album from the Italian progressive metal band Last Union. The disc, which also features Mike LePond of Symphony X on bass, Uli Kush of Halloween and Masterplan on drums, will be released through Roar, Rock of Angels Records. The effort was mixed and mastered by Jens Bogren, best known for his work with Arch Enemy, Symphony X, Devin Townsend, Angra, and Opeth, just to name a few.
Yeah, because that name comes up a lot.
Yeah, we've talked about him a lot.
But I like how a lot of prog artists keep busy. Like James Labrie, like working on the new Dream Theater. He's always, he's got a couple solo albums under his belt. Appears here and there. Mike LePond, always a busy man himself.
For real.
So he's always got something up his sleeve, which is crazy because you don't assume that with bass players usually.
Right.
But I'm sure that's gonna be cool. So.
Well, he might be one of those guys that probably does other things. Like he probably writes a lot of music,
Yeah.
but decides to play bass so he can get other people to play his songs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe that's how he works the Silent Assassins albums.
Yeah. All right, Frontiers Music will celebrate Norwegian singer Jorn Lande's 50th birthday with the release of the Ultimate Jorn box set, 50 Years on Earth, the anniversary box set, on December 14th. A definitive overview, 50 Years on Earth is comprised of 12 CDs, including all of Jorn's albums from World Changer in 2001 to Life on Death Road in 2017. In addition to the studio albums, an exclusive collection of Jorn's best live tracks taken from his albums Live in the USA and Live in Black, and of his best cover songs are included. Finally, there's a disc which includes 16 rare and bonus tracks which are going to whet the appetites of the Jorn completists.
Guess who's buying that shit?
I was going to say,
This
dude,
guy. I'm so buying that.
wow,
Yeah.
that's monstrous.
Yeah.
12 fucking records, 12 CDs. Wow, that's intense.
I've heard some of Jorn's solo stuff, and he is the man.
You know what's funny? The only thing I know of him is the
the Dio album,
no, the Alan
the
the
Russell
Alan, yeah, the Alan
Lande,
Lande,
yeah. which is
record.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So he's basically the new Dio. You know, his voice has that same kind of style, which is why he did the Dio album. But he's fucking badass.
there we go. Okay, awesome. So Iced Earth mastermind John Schaefer has teamed up with his old pals in Purgatory, the band that he originally formed in 1985, then later became Iced Earth, to record 5 tracks that were written between 1985 and 1987. Now to be released as the Purgatory EP on December 21st through Century Media. All 5 tracks featured on the EP offer real U.S. metal and perfectly capture the spirit of the mind of the mid-1980s with a powerful production rounded up by liner notes or comments of Schaefer, Gene Adam, Greg Seymour, and Bill Owen, and fitting cover artwork by David Newman Stump and Roy Young, known for their excellent work on Iced Earth's latest album, Incorruptible. The greatest surprise might be Gene Adam, Iced Earth's original singer, who sang on the band's self-titled debut album from 1990, who delivers his best vocal performance ever.
I actually didn't read that before doing this. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I mean that's super cool.
Wasn't the original EP, Enter the Realm EP was in the box set, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I also know that they're planning on going they plan on going back and re-recording some of the
Barlow stuff.
Barlow stuff
with Stu.
with Stu. Yeah, because apparently there was a question recently asked of Matt Barlow if he had any issue with that. He's like, no, I don't give a fuck.
I mean, he did it for Purgatory stuff. So.
Yeah, exactly. he's like, I did Days of Purgatory, so.
I mean, come on, he really can't say anything.
Yeah, but so that might happen in
Now
the near
that
future.
would be a cool discussion one day if you want to sit down. It's like, which songs do we want Stu Block to do?
Yeah, if you do another 2 CD set.
Yeah, that would be kind of an interesting talk.
Well, we can actually talk about it a little bit right now. I would totally love to hear Dracula, because I know for a fucking fact that Stu Block can pull it off live.
Well, would this also include stuff that they did with Ripper too?
Yeah, why not? It's basically anything back catalog.
Well, they already re-recorded Dante's Inferno with him. I
Yeah.
know that.
Mm-hmm.
So they've done that.
They re-recorded Dante's Inferno with Stu Block.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, really?
I think right after he was hired, they did that and they reissued it.
Wow, I didn't
I don't know if
that.
it was something that they sold or something that you just downloaded on the
just
internet.
just to give you a taste of
Yeah.
what's coming.
I'm pretty sure they did that.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, shit. Well, it's an extensive catalog to go through at this
Right.
point. Standalone would be good because it's quick and you can just throw it in there, and why not? Because fucking, yeah. Consequences, I think Stu Block could pull off.
I like to see 10,000 Strong.
10,000 Strong, definitely, because Stu Block's got those high
yeah.
notes.
I love to see him do 10,000 Strong. Red Baron Blue Max from fucking Glorious Burden would be a lot of fun. That's another quick one, another just thrasher to kind of throw in there. That'd be really good.
Declaration Day, I think.
That's another good one. Definitely another good one.
That would work pretty well.
With some of the Matt Barlow stuff, though, I would like them to do the original Something Wicked trilogy from Something Wicked This Way Comes.
They did that with Ripper when he came in, I believe. The Overture of the Wicked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see them trying to pull that off again.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a
Travel and Stygian.
Travel. Yeah. I told you when I saw them last, Storm Rider was sung by Schaefer.
He always sung Storm Rider. That's his song.
Really?
Yeah. Every time I've seen the two Storm Rider, he sings it.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't.
The thing is, his rough voice sounds just like Barlow.
Yeah.
Like that part in Gettysburg.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like you can't tell the difference. That was Barlow singing. No, it was John Schaefer. No, it was Barlow.
Yeah.
You can't tell.
Yeah. As far as the Dark Saga, the Hunter or Violate. See, the thing is, I'm trying to stay away from the ballady stuff because as much as I like their ballads,
no, I'd much rather hear Stu Block go nuts.
Yeah, I'd rather hear the versatility of Stu Block.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm trying to keep away from them. Unless they do like Ghost of Freedom.
Ghost of Freedom. Stay away from Martyr. Don't want to do Martyr.
Yeah. No Melancholy. No Watching Over Me.
Yeah, no.
Burning Times would be good. Burning Times always sounds great live because they play it live all the time. That's a crowd pleaser for sure.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of the track listing of Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yeah. Well, I've gone through most of it already, so. Blessed Are You, trying to.
That's the one. That's the song I'm thinking of right there.
Yeah, that's the one.
Because I was also thinking of Desert Rain, When the Night Falls,
Pure Evil.
But Matt Barlow already redone When Night Falls.
Yeah. Pure Evil.
Yeah,
would be good. So
there's just a whole series of songs that would just be really cool to hear Stu's take on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be interesting if they ever did that again?
Yeah, I think they're planning on it sometime probably after the.
As long as they don't go ahead and do like what Twisted Sister did and record a whole re-record a whole album.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of that idea.
I don't want them to re-record like Something Wicked This Way Comes, the album in its entirety or something like that.
Yeah, that just seems silly. But choice tracks would be okay.
Or re-recording. further digging that hole for Tim Owens and redoing both Something Wicked Part 1 and 2. Have you seen that Tim's response to like the two albums that he was on for Judas Priest are out of print and they're pretty much like not
he's not
shit. And he's like, man, fuck that.
Damn it.
I will re-record them myself if I have to.
Ain't got no love.
We don't want to sit there and pour more dirt on that grave. So.
Rubbing that salt in the wound.
Yeah,
okay, here
seriously.
we go. AFI will release a special EP titled "The Missing Man" Ex Noctum Nacirum. Yeah, whatever. Which is currently slated for a December 7th release. That's kind of cool. I like AFI.
AFI is. I feel like they've. After December Underground, which was like almost maybe a decade ago or over, like I feel like they just kind of went off the radar.
Well, the thing is, I think they're also one of those bands that have that rabid fan base that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Like you might not hear about them, but whenever they come around, it's always a big fucking deal.
Yeah, and they are good. Not necessarily metal, but I felt it was good to put them in there because to recognize that they are a great band.
Yeah. Dragon Force recently entered the studio with producer Damien Renaud, who's worked with Fear Factory and Once Human, to begin recording its 8th album due out on in 2019 via Metal Blade Records in the USA.
I forgot that Dragon Force was on Metal Blade again, or it was on Metal Blade. Period.
Were
They were for Roadrunner.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
They were Roadrunner for the first 4 or 5 at least. I haven't kept up with them since Inhuman Rampage, really. So
Yeah, pretty much.
So
All right, Static X is back. All right,
Sort of.
Featuring the band's original lineup introduced on the 1999 platinum-selling debut full-length album Wisconsin Death Trip, comprising of bassist Tony Campos, guitarist Koichi Fukuda, yeah, and drummer Ken J. He had the easiest name. They have joined forces once again to release a new album, Project Regeneration. It's due in the spring of 2019. The effort will be released in conjunction with a world tour to commemorate the 20th anniversary of Wisconsin Death Trip. The band plans to perform the majority of their debut album at each show. Headline dates will serve as memorial events to honor late frontman Wayne Static, who passed away 4 years ago. More information on the world tour and other dates will be coming soon. Static X has cultivated a treasure chest of vocal performances and musical compositions left behind by Wayne. Along with the help of Static X's longtime producer Ulrich Wild, the band is in the process of completing their 7th studio album, which will feature between 12 and 15 brand new Static X tracks.
So I guess they're taking what was left over in the vaults and making new tracks out of it.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
I'm kind of excited to find out who would be doing vocals for that.
I wouldn't put it past Campos doing it, Tony, and then performing as a 3-piece.
See, the thing is, like, for later albums, like I could see him doing it for Wisconsin Death Trip in particular, and for Machine, like if they play tracks from those things. But later on, he changed his vocal style.
Oh yeah.
He started sounding a little bit more like Jonathan Davis.
Okay.
So if they do focus some bits on later material, like who would you have? So,
Well, there's a couple options.
yeah.
I mean, one option would be the dude from Power Man 5000, Spider.
That would be good. He can wail when he has to.
I would maybe think the guy from Edema.
Yeah.
If he's still around.
Yeah.
Pretty much anyone in that kind of new metal / industrial metal scene would probably do well.
Yeah.
As a replacement vocalist for the tour.
Or they just completely go left turn and they pull out somebody like who sounds nothing like him, but it would be cool, like Lejean from Seven Dust.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny because I know that I've been reading that Matt Heffy from Trivium had to leave a couple shows on the Trivium tour because his wife was giving birth to twins or something like that.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of guys fill in for him on vocals, including Howard Jones of Killswitch Engage.
Yeah.
So I think that would be like something like that would probably be really cool. Not like specifically Howard Jones. I just mean someone like with that kind of
difference. Yeah.
You know.
Well, I feel like now with Trivium trying to do a little bit more singing, it is a little bit closer to what Howard Jones can accomplish.
Right.
So.
All right. Next up, Queensryche will release their new album, The Verdict, on March 1st, 2019 via Centurion Media.
I feel like their last album just came out like recently, but it's been over 2 years, I think.
I was going to say, we saw them like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. I love seeing them. They're so good.
All right. Firewind, being the band that Gus G was in before he was in Ozzy. And now that we all know about Gus G.
Well, Gus G was actually in Dream Evil first.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, he was.
Well, they are planning to enter the studio next year to begin recording the follow-up to 2017's Immortals album, and it will be due out in 2020.
I mean, he was in Dream Evil before he was in Ozzy's band.
Right.
But Firewind puts out some amazing stuff, and it's amazing. One of the things I found very funny, it's not as popular a medium anymore, but Guitar Hero and Rock Band are still around. And they had some Firewind tracks up there.
Really?
And Gus G, being the guitar wizard that he is, it's like, you're gonna play that shit on Guitar Hero, you're gonna fucking fail so hard.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah.
Same thing with they did Red Devil by Yngwie Malmsteen, which is a really great track sung by Tim Owens. But they put that up there, and like it's a fun song to play for like the regular parts of it, and then the solo comes and you're fucked.
And you just
you just turn around, bend over, and you're done.
all right. Striper frontman Michael Sweet has told Sleaze Rocks in a new interview that the band will record a new album in 2019.
They just recorded was it the singer who just recorded an album, or was it them who recorded an album?
I think it was just Michael Sweet.
Okay,
I think. I don't know.
Okay. Well.
But here's one. Progressive metal icons.
Okay.
Dream Theater.
I did not edit that one.
Yeah, your copy and paste is almost as
I
bad
mean,
as mine.
technically, that's not exactly a
It's not an overstatement.
yeah, it's not improper at all.
No. But Dream Theater have said Distance Over Time as the title of their 14th studio album due out in February of 2019.
And that's another one that I feel like The Astonishing just came out.
No. That was like a 2016 release.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it feels like it just came out.
Yeah.
I know it came out while I was down here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I never really got into that one. Like, it was. I think I have to listen to it again, but I don't think. I think the problem was I couldn't follow the story, only because, and I think the main problem is when I was reading the lyrics to it. There's characters.
Yeah.
But James LaBrie is the voice of all the characters.
Yeah, you got for something like that, you got to do it.
Like that's why Arion records are so easy to follow, is because every character has a voice.
Yeah, same thing with Avantasia Records.
You know, that's why. Like I think that was a little bit of a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
I didn't read you probably have to read all the liner notes to The Astonishing to understand what the concept is before you listen to it. Because you're pretty much just jumping into a story.
Yeah.
There's like no exposition. There's no explanation. There's nothing like that.
And the story seemed a little.
It was huge.
It was a little obtuse.
It was huge.
So.
Yeah. It was a little too big for a single record, which it was a double album, granted, but still, it was just, it wasn't as concise and tight as like say a Mindcrime is. Mindcrime was very singular.
Yeah. Although they did part 2 some 18 years later.
Right, but I'm just saying like the overall plot of Mindcrime was very singular, while I think The Astonishing covered too much ground.
Gotcha.
All right, here's another one. You probably expect a full-length video from us for this one.
Oh.
Grand Magus are working on the follow-up to their 2016 album Sword Songs. The recordings are taking place at Sweet Spot Studio in Sweden with producer Stefan Karlsson, who's worked with Arch Enemy, Firewind, and Spiritual Beggars.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, I was. Every once in a while, I go back and I watch that Grand Magus video because it is so much fun. Like that's like the one video I think we did the best on, and just listening to the history, like they record an album like every 2 or 3 years or something like that, and it's like we're looking at my clock. I'm like, we're just about on schedule here for a new Grand Magus record.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2016, and now we're approaching 2019. So yeah, it's that time.
Yeah,
it's that time.
We're looking for a new Grand Magus record.
They're another one of those bands that I need to add to my list of collection. Because I have to work my way back.
Yeah, I was going to say I have to get their back catalog because I've only have Triumph and Power and Sword Songs.
I have the one before that, The Hunt, which is fantastic. So
well, I can't imagine them being I can't imagine them being bad.
No, yeah. If they just do the same thing that they always do, which was a minor complaint about the Sword Songs, but you can't expect it to be bad.
Yeah.
So.
All right, here we go. Bluesy hard rockers Burning Rain will release their 4th studio album, Face the Music, in March 2019 via Frontiers Music.
Yeah, you can skip over the next part because I did the same thing twice.
Oh, okay, but this gives us some information here.
Okay.
Burning Rain was founded by former Whitesnake and current The Dead Daisies axeman Doug Aldrich, together with singer Keith St. John, who's worked in Kingdom Come and formerly of Montrose. The lineup for the new album is rounded out by Brad Lang of Y&T on bass and Blas Elias from Slaughter on drums.
Doug Aldrich is a busy man. Dead Daisies was on one of my top threes recently.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and they are a great fucking band. Fronted by John Corabi.
Oh, okay.
So obviously I'm interested. So
Yeah.
So he's a busy man.
All right. Finnish melodic metalers Sonata Arctica have entered the studio to start recording their 10th studio album due in 2019 through Nuclear Blast.
She got a shitload of money. You know, I actually listened to that album recently, and that song isn't that bad.
And
It's not that bad.
that getting to that track turned me off that album so bad.
It's not that bad of a track.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I just like
Can't
to laugh
do
at
it.
it. She got a shitload of money.
Not gonna do it. Oh, see, you even talked about the trivia thing here. I'm just looking ahead a little bit. All right. Moving on here. Rising stars of Japan's metal scene, Love Bites, have signed a deal with A Rising Empire. The band's sophomore full-length album, Clockwork Immortality, wow, that's incredible.
That's a great title.
will be released on December 7th. Wow.
That is
Clockwork Immortality.
That is a great fucking title.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll buy it just for that.
Yeah, I mean the band name's a little weak, unfortunately. It makes me think of Def Leppard.
I want to say that if I remember correctly, this is a all female
yes,
band.
it's all female from
And
Japan.
It's kind of coming around like following the coattails of baby metal almost.
Yeah. But that title,
Yeah.
like wow,
That's intense.
That's good.
Yeah. All right, here we go. August Burns Red is gearing up for the holiday season by dropping a thoroughly festive and metallic EP, Winter Wilderness.
I should have edited that.
Yeah. The EP features the band's signature take on 4 Christmas classics, as well as 2 new and original compositions, Winter Wilderness and Avalanche.
That makes my life a lot easier, actually, because one of the upcoming lists that I'm working on for What Culture is original metal songs about Christmas or regarding Christmas.
Oh, there you go.
So, woo.
There you go, bud.
Thanks, August Burns Red, even though I don't listen to you.
It'll probably be interesting.
Yeah.
Because they're one of those like metalcore bands, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to hear, especially like on Christmas classics. Like they didn't say which ones. So, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, or like what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but don't do Run Rudolph Run because Lemmy already has.
Oh yeah, he's got that on lock.
Yeah. He owned that one.
Yeah.
So, and God rest ye merry gentlemen, Dio took over. So,
And for the love of God, if you get a female vocalist, do not, for the love of God, do "Baby It's Cold Outside."
oh yeah, please, no rapey shit.
I hate that fucking song.
Yeah, that song sucks.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's bad.
On that note, black metal pioneer. From Christmas to black metal, Venom will release their 15th full-length studio album, Storm the Gates, on December 14th through Spine Farm Records.
Just in time for Christmas.
I was just going to say that. Just in time for the holidays, the new Venom record.
Kronos knows what you want for Christmas, you motherfucker.
Him and that big old forehead of his. Oh. Yes.
That
Kronos.
is cool because I do like Venom. So I remember, oh man, like I bought the album Black Metal just because like from its reputation alone when I was working at Tower.
Oh, you just have to have those kind of records in your collection. Like,
Yeah.
Even if you don't like it, you have to have it and listen to it to be able to have an opinion of it.
Sitting there listening to that album on repeat, playing dungeon crawling games for fucking GameCube, man. That was my thing for a while.
All right. Are we ready?
Yep.
Because we're skipping ahead here and we're going towards touring news.
Yep.
Ozzy Osbourne has announced the new dates for the 4 shows on his North American No More Tours 2 that he has recently forced to cancel. All 4 shows have now been rescheduled for July of 2019.
They also added, I think, 11 other shows.
Yeah, he's added another leg to the tour with Megadeth.
Yeah.
So speaking of recording news, I forgot to mention this before, obviously. apparently Megadeth is recording a new record,
Yeah.
and I haven't listened to it, but they released like 40 seconds of material online, and apparently it is super heavy,
Okay.
like ridiculous, like blast beats and shit. Like it's heavy.
Well, if they're keeping Chris Adler, I would hope they would use him to his full potential.
Probably not. I mean, they probably whoever is their touring drummer is probably the guy in the band. Now.
Oh.
I mean, Chris Adler never toured, or he played a few shows, but I don't think he toured with them. I think he only recorded that one Dystopia record. Like I think whoever's drumming for them now is their drummer.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's encouraging because I really like Dystopia. We all did.
They're the one of the subjects of one of my other What Culture lists that I'm working on, of bands that rarely keep the same lineup between albums.
True.
So
True.
I'm working on that one.
You talk about Iced Earth too.
Yes. Actually, I think I mentioned it as in they are the exception because they are the only band that has never kept the same lineup.
And you're talking about full lineup too.
I'm talking about full lineup, like even
drums, bass, guitar, singer.
Yeah, and if there's keys involved or whatever. But like apparently, according to Wikipedia, like they have never kept the same lineup from album to album.
Wow, that's intense.
It's been like they release the album and then they get rid of a guy right after and get him replaced.
Wow.
Yeah, like
That's
I was trying really. I was looking really close. Like, yeah, that looks like he just recorded the album and then got kicked the fuck out.
John Schaefer must be a really hard man to work with.
Yeah, so I wanted to put in as a joke. I wanted to put in Spinal Tap, but I went
You
through.
should put that as an honorable mention.
I went through their Wikipedia, and they do mention a lot of the fictional part of it, and their fictional discography, and it wasn't like the same case as I'm thinking, like like their drummer died every single album or something like that. They actually had long stretches of time with different drummers. They just happened to die in mysterious circumstances.
Oh, okay, I see
and
what you're saying.
change.
I see what
So
you're saying.
it wasn't like album death, album disappearance.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha,
so,
gotcha.
So I was like, shit, I can't do this. But I was like Spinal Tap.
All right, here we go. Disturbed has announced the first North American leg of the band's 2019 Evolution Tour. Support on the trek, which will kick off on January 9th and hit 27 cities in the United States and Canada, will come from 3 Days Grace.
Disturbed was good, always good live.
They're
so,
always entertaining.
Yeah, I remember seeing them when The Sickness came out.
Oh, my
way
God,
back
yeah.
when.
They were like them and Godsmack were probably the best performers out of that whole group.
As far as like new metal.
No, because Linkin Park was always good live too.
Yeah, Power Man 5000 is still.
Slipknot's still a spectacle to see.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think that also has to do with the size of the fan base and the popularity now. Like, Metallica's not just a band anymore. You can't just go see Metallica in jeans and a t-shirt. They are a production.
Yeah.
On like a whole nother level, and Slipknot's in that same kind of thing too.
Yeah.
Well, but when they first came out, Disturbed and Godsmack were like a jean and t-shirts kind of band, and they were still a really good live band.
Yeah. Well, especially from their drum solos and shit like that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Ensign Ferrum have announced a North American headline tour featuring Septic Flesh as direct support, with another opening band to be announced soon.
That sounds cool.
It does. I think is that coming here?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Okay, anyway. Pop Evil has announced 24 U.S. headline dates for next year in support of their self-titled LP, which was released earlier this year. This announcement comes on the heels of Pop Evil announcing a Canadian headline tour. Dates will kick off on November 17th in Toronto at Lee's Place, hitting both coasts before wrapping up in Saskatoon at the Coors Event Center on December 3rd. New label mates Royal Tusk will support.
Quick thing I meant to mention before, since I was going through this should have been mentioned back in new releases and what we've been listening to. So one of the bands that I came across was a band called Lucifer, and You know when you go through the list and you see like either what label or what the band's name is, you know what you're gonna get.
Uh-huh.
I was expecting, you know, to be turned off and have it be extreme metal or something like that. 'Cause not really my forte. And I was like, oh man, Chris would love this band. This is like Royal Thunderish.
Oh.
Like said like it looks. They make it look as like kind of cheesy as possible for that 70s feel, but like all of it's done in kind of a sepia tone kind of thing. It's like female singer, like it's so up your alley, like it hurts. And I was like, wow, this is not what I was expecting at all for a band named Lucifer. So that's something you need to save and look into. I see you doing that right now.
I'm going to YouTube, and I'm going to look one up right now, and I am going to
We will pause.
play it after we're done recording.
Okay. There's two videos there's two actual music videos that they have. I'm not sure, I can't remember the names of the songs, but they are currently vying for one of the top 3 spots for July for me.
No, I think I'm going to have to because I have to get through. Is it because when I type in Lucifer, the first thing that comes up is a TV show?
I didn't know there was a TV show named Lucifer.
Yes. Ah, there you are. Okay, cool. Blonde singer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I love the logo. Oh look, they had the full album on here. Good. Done.
Yeah.
Cool.
So definitely
Locked
right
in.
up your definitely right up your alley.
Woo, can't wait. I'm excited. All right, so moving on here, Soulfly has announced its first tour in support of its upcoming album Ritual. The trek, which will take place next January and February, will feature support from Cataclysm, Insight, Chaosium, Luca, and Skinflint.
A whole bunch of artists that will probably, unfortunately, sound very, very similar.
Yeah, unfortunately, but that's all right. It's okay.
But it's okay. It's Soulfly, so.
Yeah, I was Ubering the other night. I picked up somebody from the Paper Tiger, some dude with long hair. The picture of him from his account on Lyft was a picture of him shredding on some guitar, and I'm like, dude, what show did you just see? It's like, we just saw, who was it? Cow Decapitation and Suffocation. So it was that show. It was Friday night.
Nice.
So I was like, hell yeah, dude, that's a great show. Good deal. All right. Here we go. We were just talking about this. Trivium frontman Matt Heffy has he left the band's current North American tour to be at home with his wife as they await the birth of twins. In his absence, Trivium will play all scheduled shows with assistance from Howard Jones of Killswitch Engage and Light the Torch fame, YouTube comedian/musician Jared Dines, and Avatar frontman Johannes Eckerstrom.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I always like it when they don't cancel. They just.
Yeah, I always love hearing about stuff like that. I think my favorite one was when James Hetfield had to go in for back surgery or something like that.
Something like that.
And they had Kid Rock singing for him and a whole bunch of other people doing things. Jason Newsted, of course, when he was still in the band. Just a bunch of different people singing Metallica tunes. It was just a fun show.
Have you seen any memes of Kid Rock lately?
The one where he looks like Dr. Phil.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that the guy who posted that was a metal guy. I forgot what band he's from. And then it got so far that I went to The View, and they had Dr. Phil on. And they showed it to him, and then they gave him a wig and a hat to put on. And they're like, holy shit, it really does look like Dr. Phil. Looking like Kid Rock. It's not even funny.
That's fucking amazing.
But that's how far it went.
Because he came out. That was at the.
That was at the
WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And he looked so ready to be a grandpa.
No, he looked like he was ready to be a grandpa, but not ready to let go of.
Actually, being a Southerner, he's probably a great grandpa.
He's not a Southerner. He's from Detroit.
Okay, trying to be a Southerner as much as possible. Trying. He wants to be from the South.
Yeah.
With his Leonard Skinner cover.
That's one of the things that bother me about Hell Yeah, is I understand that Vinnie Paul is from Texas, but the guy from Mudvayne is from Illinois, or something like that.
What the fuck is in Illinois?
I mean, he wasn't a Southerner. And stop trying. Take the cowboy hat off. And stop. Slipknot will embark on a month-long tour of Europe next summer. The band will perform at a number of festivals across the continent, including Download, Rock am Ring, Graspop Metal Meeting, and Resurrection.
Everything. They're just going to be all over the place.
And they're about to blow up again because they released a new song like unexpectedly. It was really good.
Actually, their new song broke their YouTube record. Actually,
Yeah.
like as far as
And
views go.
The song is actually really good. It's very self-titled sounding.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they're getting
Very
back,
self-titled
getting
sounding.
back to the core and the real time aggression.
Yeah, like, and I think one of my favorite things about Corey Taylor himself is that his persona of Slipknot versus Stone Sour is so drastic. It's so different. Like when he does more aggressive vocals with Stone Sour, it's still not on the level of Slipknot, and just his vocals for Slipknot it's just the contrasting like personalities and his singing style for those contrasting bands is really cool to listen to.
Yeah. I was thinking sometime recently of doing a list in the future of our favorite lyricists in metal, and the only one that I came up with at first was Corey Taylor, because I love a lot of Stone Sour lyrics.
Yes.
He is a great writer.
Yeah, I think he's a really good writer.
So
That I think him, and if I was to name another one, it might be Dave Grohl. Out Dave Grohling Dave Grohl.
can't out Dave Grohl, Dave Grohl.
Only Dave Grohl can out Dave Grohl Dave Grohl.
We're gonna make that into a T-shirt. Who can out Dave Grohl, Dave Grohl? Can you out Dave Grohl, Dave Grohl? I just have like a picture of him like one of his like live like
Yeah,
faces.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Okay, here we go. Former Megadeth guitarist Marty Friedman will be touring the U.S. starting January 23rd, 2019 in San Diego, California, and finish up February 24th in Baltimore, Maryland. San Antonio date, January 30th here at the Rock Box.
And actually opening up for them is A Good Rogering, who I just saw again recently. I love that band. They're so good. They're very funny. If you don't know who A Good Rogering is, if you're familiar with Runescarred, one of the members, I don't know what name he goes by in the band. It's either Chris Wright or Skunk Manhattan, but he is in Runescarred. But A Good Rogering is a good, fun, tongue-in-cheek kind of band.
Okay. Next up. In early 2019, August Burns Red will headline the Dangerous Tour, presented by Sound Rink, alongside Fit for a King, Miss May I, and Crystal Lake. The trek kicks off on January 24th in Lexington, Kentucky, and runs through March 2nd in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Sound Rink, the rink thing makes it sound like a roller derby.
Yeah, and Dangerous sounds like it's actually a tour of Michael Jackson cover bands.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't it though? Wouldn't that just be amazing? a bunch of heavy metal Michael Jackson cover bands on the Dangerous tour.
In case you ever wanted to get tired of the hee Come on.
Yeah.
Just don't let him step on your car.
That would just be amazing. I'm sorry. I think it'd be great. Because there was that heavy metal tribute to Michael Jackson. Chuck Billy was on it. A wild Chuck Billy was on it, and it was amazing. Okay.
Quick story. Apparently, a friend of mine went for Halloween one year dressed as the Crow, like the face paint and all that kind of stuff. So somebody goes up to him and says, great Michael Jackson costume, Shimon!"
Wow.
Just to be a complete dick.
That's amazing. White face. Like, what the fuck? Altitudes and Attitude. The project featuring Anthrax bassist Frankie Bello and Megadeth bassist David Ellefson will embark on a European tour in 2019. The trek, which kicks off on February 7th in Nottingham, United Kingdom, will include 6 shows as the support act for Slash featuring Miles Kennedy, featuring the Conspirators, and the Tops.
The movie, the game, the board game, the flamethrower.
With a vengeance.
That is a long title for a band.
Jesus Christ! All right. Before we get too far out of the way here, okay. Rammstein have announced a batch of summer 2019 European tour dates. The run of stadium and arena shows will kick off on May 27th in Germany and end on August 22nd in Vienna, Austria. Tickets will go on sale on November 8th.
Right on. I mean, I'm bummed it's not U.S., but whatever.
Well, hopefully they're releasing a new album soon too.
Yes,
and hopefully they would tour behind it.
Yeah,
because that would be a hell of a show to watch them blow up the AT&T Center.
I need to see them live in general. They're on a bucket list. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Because I can only imagine, like, you heard about their live show like 15 years ago and how intense it was, and now because they have such a rabid following and they've probably increased their production value tenfold since then.
Well, I mean, if I saw a few brief clips from the Family Values tour, which was 99. Was it 99?
Yeah, that's 20 years ago. Shit.
Yeah. So like their set looked crazy then. I saw pictures of their stage set for Mutter. They have always been this big production. So I just want to see it once. Just once I want to see them live, and just destroy.
All right, here we go. Dream Theater will kick off the Distance Over Time promotional cycle with a 6-week North American tour that launches in San Diego, California on March 20th. The tour poster includes the tagline, "Celebrating 20 years of Scenes from a Memory," a reference to the group's acclaimed 1999 concept album Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, which the band has not performed live in its entirety in nearly 2 decades. It is unclear at this point if they plan to do so again in 2019.
Well, maybe the new album is a continuation of that story.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
Who knows?
if you're going to combine the two into a single tour, then I kind of...
Well, when does the album come out?
February.
In February? And they're going on tour in March. Okay.
So
that's interesting. That'd be interesting if they did like 2 sets, like an evening with Dream Theater. The first set is like new material, and the next set is Metropolis in its entirety.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Or they do Scenes from a Memory Part 1 and 2, and then if this new thing is part of it, they just play it from start to finish, like everything is Scenes from a Memory.
That'd be interesting. All right, well, Alice in Chains has announced an extensive European tour for May and June.
Yeah, everyone's going to Europe, God damn it!
Starting on May 23rd in Glasgow. Yeah. The 14-date trek includes 3 UK shows with a date in Birmingham's Barclay Card Arena. Oh, that's weird. On May 24th, and Wembley, the SSE Arena, on May 25th. These will be the biggest headline shows the band have played to date in the UK. Following these UK shows, the band head to Europe for a run of major headline dates and festivals, including Rock am Ring, Rock im Park in June.
That's always good.
Yeah.
I love Alice in Chains. They need to come back around here, and I actually need to cash them this time.
Yeah.
So,
the Dio hologram will return to the road in April. Is set for over 100 cities in 2019.
Yes.
His hologram made its debut at the Wacken Open Air Festival in August 2016 in front of more than 75,000 fans. After the tour's initial 7-date run was completed last December, Ronnie's hologram is undergoing some changes before the launch of the next leg of the Dio Returns World Tour. No dates announced yet.
Now, since they're doing this again and they're actually making it into a full-fledged thing, would you go see it?
I don't think so.
I think I would, just to see it.
It would depend on how much it costs.
Yeah, of course.
Where it was, venue-wise.
I mean,
It's
Yeah.
not like they're going to be bringing this to the Rock Box.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds like something that would have to happen in a theater. And so we're
The
thinking
Majestic.
like the Majestic or the Aztec.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like if it happens at like the Aztec and you're like in the general admission area and you're right up front, how much of the hologram do you actually see? Like, how does it work?
yeah.
Is it projected from underneath? Is it projected from the top? Is it projected from like a movie? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. That's why I want to go to find out.
Like it just seems to be too many variables. It's almost like going to see Guns N' Roses.
At least they're still going strong.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you haven't heard anything bad about the Guns N' Roses show.
The last thing I heard about the show was that they played to like 6 million fans on this entirety of the tour. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, Corrosion of Conformity, Crowbar, and Mothership will join forces for a North American tour in early 2019. Weed Eater and The Obsessed will support on select dates. That sounds like the foggiest of shows
Yeah.
in the marijuana sense.
I've seen Corrosion of Conformity once.
I never have.
Yeah.
And this is probably still Corrosion of Conformity with Pepper.
Even though it's not saying the.
No, it's not. And
Feature.
Crowbar, Jimmy Bauer's back in Crowbar.
Yeah.
No, Kirk, no, not Jimmy Bauer. Kirk is back in Crowbar.
And Crowbar we've seen, so
No, it's interesting.
yeah. So that sounds like it'd be a good show, and it is coming around here, I believe.
Is that right?
I believe it's coming to the Aztec.
Ooh,
I think.
that would be worth it.
I'm fairly certain that they're coming here.
All right, well, Sonata Arctica will embark on a special journey. Its very first acoustic run across European soil in March 2019. Support will come from Witherfall.
She got a shitload of money. I need to get the clip of that.
Yeah, just for our business. Sometimes when we do our business clips,
Yes.
that would be interesting to have. All right, All That Remains will embark on the previously scheduled European tour with Seven Dust this December. Guitar virtuoso and YouTube personality Jason Richardson, who's been in All Shall Perish, Chelsea Grin, and Born of Osiris, has come on board and will fill in for the recently deceased Ollie Herbert on the upcoming trek.
Yeah.
Very cool. Here we go. Last but not least, Iron Maiden will bring the Legacy of the Beast tour to North America in 2019
Yes.
for an extensive series of arena and amphitheater shows produced by Live Nation.
Yes.
Including a first ever headlining appearance at the Bank of California Stadium in Los Angeles.
Yes.
The tour will cover a total of 33 cities right across the USA and Canada, including Portland, Oregon, where they haven't played since 1987 on the Somewhere in Time tour.
Because you don't deserve it, Portland.
Hartford, Connecticut, where they last played in 2005, and many other places not visited since the Made in England 2012-2013 tour. San Antonio date, September 25th at the AT&T Center, last night of the tour.
Yeah, I'm gonna go there now. Just wait for the show.
It's so funny because it's almost a year away when you think
Standing
about
there,
it.
I'll be standing there in the middle of a Spurs game. Like, I'm waiting for Iron Maiden.
It's like, dude, go home.
Don't mind me. Quick thing. I guess the basketball team from Seattle.
Supersonics.
Yeah.
They are the Supersonics, aren't they?
Yeah, but they apparently left Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
That got brought up during a WWE show.
By Elias,
By
right?
Elias.
Yeah.
And the crowd booed so hard for 10 minutes. And, obviously you have to kind of respond to it. And there's certain points where Elias was just like, they moved! Get over it!
Yeah, that's been that's been a sore subject for that city for a long time.
Yeah, it was great because they're doing bits like you have to get closer. I can't hear you. I need my mic turned up louder. I can't speak over everybody. It was so fucking.
And that's before
funny.
he turned face,
Right?
right?
Yes. This is about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, it was right before he turned face.
Yeah, but it was fucking funny as hell.
One-offs? We ready?
We're ready for one-offs.
Ace Frehley will celebrate the 40th anniversary of his acclaimed solo debut by performing the album for the first time in its entirety on the final day of the New Jersey Kiss Expo 2018, which will take place December 7th through the 9th at the Hilton Parsippany in Parsippany, New Jersey. Parsippany.
Parsippany.
That's fantastic. Well, I know what I'm doing for my birthday this year. Slipknot will perform at the Iowa State Fair Grandstand for the first time ever on August 10th, 2019.
You gonna make your way to Iowa?
It's a Saturday.
You have fun finding your way through those cornfields.
Yeah. If you build it, they will come.
Okay, you know what?
You're welcome.
You need 10 tons of get fucked.
You're welcome.
Could the virus kill the grimace? Nothing can kill the grimace.
That's right.
I'm grimacing so hard right now.
Nothing can kill your grimace.
God damn it.
For the first time since its 1996 debut, Ozfest, the annual musical event that celebrates hard rock and heavy metal, has created a special one-night-only New Year's Eve celebration to ring in 2019. Set for Monday, December 31st at the Forum in Los Angeles, the event features headliner Ozzy Osbourne, as well as Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, and Jonathan Davis of Korn, along with the Ozfest debut of Body Count featuring Ice-T.
That's awesome.
Zach Sabbath, fronted by Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist Zach Wilde,
That's awesome.
will headline a second stage outside to be backed by Wednesday 13, Devil Driver, and more.
That is cool.
That's fun.
I mean, I'm never a big fan of these New Year's Eve things because like I always feel like I could be sitting at home and watching the ball drop. But I mean, Ozfest, it's always cool.
Yeah. It's going to be funny because it's going to be New Year's Eve of 2019, and you're going to be listening to the same track listing that you're listening to 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's a time warp.
you're also ringing in very close to the 50-year mark of the first Black Sabbath album because that was February of '69.
Whew.
So damn.
Rough. Triptychon will return to Roadburn Festival in Tilburg, the Netherlands, in 2019 to perform the full Celtic Frost Triptychon 3-part Requiem, complete with orchestral accompaniment. That is crazy.
That sounds cool.
That is crazy.
I mean, I didn't put anything else about the festival itself. I just put in that fact because that's cool.
Yeah, badass.
Because there hasn't been enough from Tom Warrior in a while.
All right.
So we have a note here about the charts, and this is from 2 weeks ago, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I think when you last edited it, it was relevant.
All right. Well, back then, way back when, Steve Perry scored the highest solo debut of his career with Traces, his first album in nearly a quarter of a century. Released via Fantasy Records, Traces is Perry's first top 10 solo debut, entering the Billboard 200 album chart at number 6, with over 73,000 total copies in sales and consumption. That's actually a really good way of putting it. Sales and consumption.
Yeah.
Traces has additionally landed at number 2 on the Billboard Current Rock Albums chart. That was a couple weeks ago.
That's the rock chart, not the hard rock chart.
Not the hard rock chart. No, that's a rock chart.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's intense. And one more thing, because we didn't really look into the top 200. You're not pulling it up?
No.
Okay. No. Another thing was I read an article today that the new Disturbed album actually broke their streak of #1 albums first week, landing at number 4.
Wow.
Yeah. So it did not hit #1. It was number 4, and I think the last 4 albums that they released all hit #1 week 1. So kind of a downer for Disturbed.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. But I mean, number 4 is still not bad at all for sure, and I'm sure it'll stay on the charts for a good long time, considering the fact that Immortalized is still on the charts.
Yep, it is. As a matter of fact, if we just want to go right into the Billboard Hard Rock chart here, we will start with number 5, which is Disturbed Immortalized.
There you go.
Great segue there.
Yeah.
All right, number 24 is Vault, Greatest Hits 1980 through 1995 of Def Leppard.
A blow.
a re-entry here, at number 23, is Experience Hendrix, The Best of Jimi Hendrix by Jimi Hendrix.
Really?
Yep.
It's probably because everyone's playing a Queen playlist.
Pretty much,
for
yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody, so they're playing some Hendrix.
All right, here we go. Number 22 is Toxicity.
Really? What?
Yeah, Terminator 2, Toxicity. And that's actually down. It was at number 17 last week.
Oh wow,
That's interesting.
that's
All right. Aerosmith's Greatest Hits is at number 21.
okay.
All the Right Reasons by Nickelback is at number 20.
Still there.
Meteora, Linkin Park, number 19. Three Doors Down, Greatest Hits, number 18. And Justice for None, Five Finger Death Punch, number 17.
Gotcha. Sex.
Foo Fighters, Greatest Hits, number 16. Mothership, Led Zeppelin, number 15. From the Fires, Greta Van Fleet, number 14. Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park, number 13. A new entry here, a band called Fight the Fury. Their EP Still Breathing is at number 12. New entry. Greatest Hits, Bon Jovi is at number 11. Queen, Greatest Hits 1, 2, 3, The Platinum Collection is at number 10. Five Finger Death Punch, A Decade of Destruction, number 9. Guns N' Roses, Greatest Hits, number 8. The Black Album, number 7. 12 Bloody Spies, B-Sides and Rarities by Chevelle, which is a new record, is at number 6. Back in Black, AC/DC, number 5. Greatest Hits, Queen, number 4.
Really?
Anthem of the Peaceful Army, Greta Van Fleet, which I believe is their debut record, not the EP, is at number 3. Bohemian Rhapsody, the soundtrack by Queen, is at number 2.
Makes sense.
And number 1, of course, is Evolution by Disturbed.
Which it's probably gonna stay at number 1. It's gonna stay within
Well,
the
thing
top.
is, last week it was at number 2.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Last week's number 1 was the new album by Greta Van Fleet.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, that was probably their debut.
We really need to catch up and find out who the fuck this band is.
There's a lot of talk about Greta Van Fleet because
Yeah.
they are, number one, they are very young. I
Yeah.
think they're all brothers, so you
Yeah.
got that going for you.
Yeah.
But the main complaint from a lot of people is that they sound so much like Led Zeppelin that they're just considered almost a blatant ripoff, if not a cover band. I mean, that's a lot of people's biggest gripe with this band.
I think people had the same thing with God, what was it? Kingdom Come. Like there's like this unspoken thing like don't compare them to Led Zeppelin because of the fact that like everyone has and they will beat
Yeah.
the pit. It's like mentioning the first 4 Pantera albums.
Yeah.
Like
That didn't happen.
it's that level of like shut the fuck up kind
See,
of.
now I'm kind of curious. I'm just gonna scroll real quick if I can. The 200 chart.
Okay.
So let's put in some Benny Hill music here.
Let me find some random clips to play while we.
All right. Well, Disturbed Evolution is at number 18.
Okay.
It was at number 4 last week.
Yeah.
And that was its peak position, of course. So we talked about that briefly. Bohemian Rhapsody, the soundtrack, is at 25. It was at 22 last week, and that's when it peaked. It's only been on the week charts for 2 weeks, so that's still a relatively new release. But it's pretty much, but the soundtrack is pretty much the tracks already, so there's really nothing much new from that.
It's basically another greatest hits album.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so here we are. Greta Van Fleet, their new album, Anthem of the Peaceful Army, is at number 32 on the top 200 charts. Last week it was at number 3.
Wow.
Number 3, which means it was beat out. It beat out Disturbed
It,
in the first week.
wow. Which obviously it did for the hard rock charts.
Right.
So that was expected. So.
All right, we've got some Cher going on here.
Really.
Well, she released Dancing Queen, which I think is her cover album of ABBA tracks.
Okay. We don't need more ABBA shit. Okay. We have fucking what's the one that. What's the movie that uses all
Mamma
ABBA
Mia.
music? Mamma Mia. They already had the second movie out or coming out.
It came out already.
See how much I know.
I think it's on DVD already, too, actually.
See how much I know.
See, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into the Christmas spirit because right between Christmas and Halloween, you have Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack at
course.
number 64.
It has to be there,
At number 64.
and it's a great soundtrack. So,
I'm not complaining.
so
I see Queen's Greatest Hits as number 71.
okay.
It's on the uptick because that was at number 87 before.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm wondering, as far as streaming goes, how it's going to affect, their each album's charting progress, because you have Queen's Greatest Hits 1, 2, and 3.
Uh-huh.
You have Queen's Greatest Hits, and now you have this Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack.
Right.
Like, how is Spotify gonna differentiate all that?
It's going to be a very interesting thing to see in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I can eventually see Bohemian Rhapsody, the soundtrack, falling off, but the other ones,
It probably also is dependent on what the record labels allow
Yeah.
and who has control of the rights to these songs.
yeah.
You know. All right, so the new record, the B-sides and rarities from Chevelle, was at 139.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, we have our greatest hits collections. The Black Album was at 147.
Okay.
Dropped 10 spots for 137. Guns N' Roses greatest hits. Bob Seger's. Steve Perry's Traces, which we talked about. Last week was at number 80. This week is at number 157.
So after a strong start,
It's
I mean,
slowly but surely slacking.
yeah.
No.
Sounds
Five
like
Finger Death Punch or Decade of Destruction is still on the charts at 186, down from 169. Abbey Road.
Really?
Yep. Queen's Greatest Hits 1, 2, and 3 is at 194, which is a re-entry. Wasn't on the charts last week. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as disappointing as expected, but that Greta Van Fleet Disturbed thing, that's pretty
interesting.
Yeah, I really need to check this band out.
It's very interesting. The thing is, they have that. We've talked about this crossover appeal, because the fact of the matter is that when I go to the gym at Planet Fitness, their video is playing.
Okay.
You know, so they have that mass appeal because they have a sound that's familiar and it's safe.
Yeah, and it's you still have the older crowd who will.
Well, the thing is, this is the thing I've been noticing, and I just thought about this recently. We can turn this part into our discussion if you want. We talk about how R&B, hip hop, rap have taken over rock as the number one music in the country, and I think I have a reason why.
Okay.
My theory is that when these new pop, hip hop, rap artists come out with a new album, people are actually excited about it, and they go out and listen to it, and they celebrate it. And when they play these songs live at their shows, people are excited for it. While in our community, we're still waiting for the next Master of Puppets. We're still waiting for we're still looking back and not forward. Like when you go to an Iron Maiden show and they're playing stuff from Book of Souls, the crowd is not into it. But when they play Number of the Beast, they're 100% into it. Like our community is not as supportive of new music from our old favorites as the pop and R&B and hip hop community is.
Yeah.
Like when Beyonce released Lemonade, that was a big fucking deal. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, did you hear the new Beyonce record?"
Yeah.
Or, "Oh my god, have you heard the new Eminem record? Have you heard the new Taylor Swift record?" All these things are celebrated.
Yeah.
While anything new in our community is just kind of like taking a step back. Is like, is this going to be any good? You know, we don't have that. Our community is not as supportive of new material as the other ones.
It's greeted with a grain of salt. You know, it's like I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about this, and especially with the internet being what it is, a lot of folks use it as a dumping ground for opinions that are. I make the joke at the start of our show that we are heavily biased and uninformed, but we do our damnedest to keep up with everything and keep up with what's coming out and what's a big deal. But even at shows where I know that I'm going to hear new material, I try to be open to it. Like,
The thing is that's you though. I think
Yeah.
as a fan base as a whole,
yeah,
the metal community is not nearly as open to new material as the pop
well,
community is.
here's my example. I just saw Iced Earth recently, a few months ago, and they're on the Incorruptible tour. I haven't heard Incorruptible. I listened to it after I saw them, but I didn't know any of the new tracks, and they played at least 4 new ones. I enjoyed what I heard, but I was much more excited personally for Burning Times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but
So
I
I
was
mean, that's kind of like where I'm kind of going with it. Is that like when one of these when one of these pop artists comes out with an album, it's celebrated.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, new stuff. We have new things to listen to. It's awesome. Blah 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 blah. While in our community, they get a new record, and it's like, well, it's just not as good as their old stuff. It's just
Yeah,
not
that's-
this. It's not that. When I go to see them live, I don't want to see these songs. That's probably why, as far as popularity goes, we've been stepped over.
Yeah, and it's also why I feel like people will often say rock metal is dead. Either we're rehashing the same things like the complaints about Greta Van Fleet, or we everything sounds the same. Yeah, so. But I do feel what you're talking about, as far as it feels like we're not progressing enough or fast enough for the audience to really capture the essence. And a lot of folks actually they mention this kind of thing. They blame things like the internet, which has taken away some of that element of surprise. As they say, like people are able to get access to things early, and it takes away from that level of real, authentic enthusiasm. And in a way, they're right. I'm the kind of person who, like, you tell me that something new is coming out, I want to hear it now, and when I hear it, I'm excited for it. I personally just don't like to wait for shit. But I can understand what they're trying to get at, in that there is no there's no surprise to it. There's no reason to really get excited, because you can just get to it as quickly as possible and disregard it eventually. And then depending on what bands do, you have to. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, as far as being in a band, because if you stick with the same sound, you get pigeonholed for being for not progressing, or if you try to change it up, you get told, like, stop doing that.
Well, that's the thing. That's another thing I think about our particular fan base, is that we're very close-minded.
Yes, absolutely.
Pop and they like when artists like, let's say, Taylor Swift or Beyonce, when they change their sound, it's something exciting. It's something new for these people to listen to, and they get hyped for it. We don't. Unless it's certain bands, like I got hyped when Opeth went more progressive.
Yeah, that was
but
my
the thing is, that's very specific.
Yeah, that was my one thought with the bands that changed their sound completely and everything. I think one of the only bands that now that fit our style that people actually get excited for is a band like Metallica.
That's because like their albums are events,
Yeah.
kind of like on the scale of like a
but-
Beyonce or something like that.
But that's it's another crossover appeal.
Yeah.
It's a matter of they are bigger than the scene itself. They
almost they embody the scene.
Yeah.
Like there's I saw something on the internet. It's like one of those jokes is like, you cringe when somebody thinks Metallica is a genre of music. And it's almost to the point where they almost are.
Yeah.
Like you talk about heavy metal, and the first thing that comes up if you search it on the internet might be Metallica.
Yeah, it's one of those things that they are synonymous. You know, it's the same thing with like wrestling. You talk to a person who absolutely hates wrestling, but they'll know Hulk Hogan
Yeah, true.
for sure.
Yeah,
You know, it's one of those things that it is so synonymous with it. But it seems that it's almost elitist in a way. It seems much harder to please metal fans,
yeah,
and it's kind of obnoxious. It makes listening to it a little bit more difficult as well, just because you never want to be. You never want to experience that person who ruins your day by hating on the thing that you like, you know, and especially if it's for bad reasons. You know, I remember I was God, it must have been for it was something related to Iron Maiden. It might have been for Dance of Death, and I was picking up the album, and a guy online was talking about Brave New World, and we've done it in the video. I've mentioned it on the podcast a billion times. Brave New World was kind of changing for me, like this life changing for me, for various reasons. And it was my first Iron Maiden album. It started my love affair with like what I consider to be one of the epitome of heavy metal. And a guy online was talking about how it's basically a bunch of leftovers from Virtual 11 and Blaze Bayley era. I was like, I don't care if it is. You can say that, but that doesn't necessarily A, make it true, or B, you know, mean that it's bad. It's a great fucking album, you know? It comes down to them being closed-minded.
yeah. Which is why I think when you look at these charts, and like you'll see our bands up there occasionally, but they're always greatest hits, not albums.
Oh, that
and not new albums either, except when they first come out, maybe.
Yeah. That probably has a lot to do with the streaming services.
You know, the thing is, I mean, when you look at these charts, I mean, they still have, I mean, older albums from these pop artists are still up there, and it can't just be from the streaming. It's like the people are actually going out and still listening and buying these records too.
Yeah,
You know?
if they can at this point.
You know, it's one of those things where I think the thing that's hurting metal and hard rock is itself.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like self-harm.
If it ever does fully die a death, which is not going to happen, but if it ever does, it is a self-inflicted wound.
For sure.
So, I remember I watched something recently. It was somebody in a hardcore band talking about other hardcore bands, and he was saying that it's hard to listen to some of the music because of the fact that it's become so homogenous. It's become so like exactly the same.
Formulaic.
Yeah, formulaic and exactly the same. And he was saying that even his favorite band was a hardcore or metalcore band or whatever. And he said, you know, even when I hear one of their songs, I'm not even sure if it's them. But if for a band like Fall Out Boy, you hear that and you know it's them.
Right.
They have that some level of uniqueness.
Right.
So you know it's them. But a lot of bands in our current scene don't have that level of uniqueness.
Yeah. Like we as fans can nitpick and pick and choose, not pick and choose, but be able to pick out the differences that we know that these are different bands.
If you really listen to it, yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you were to play somebody a Soilworks song and then play somebody, the same person, a Killswitch Engage song, they won't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, no.
They'll just hear fast riffs, guttural verses, and clear choruses, and for them, that's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's gonna be exactly the same for them. So and it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for everybody to kind of expand the scene because of the fact that there is so much of that out there. I've said before, we are, as struggling as we may be, we are a super saturated group.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands out there. There's bands for everything nowadays. There's bands to cover. There's bands that are traditional metal bands. There's a billion thrash bands. There's a billion black metal bands. They're all kind of covering the same ground. So it's a matter also of picking and choosing what's going to be your poison.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard.
And again, I think that also plays into the closed-mindedness of metal fans. Is that like if it's not this particular kind of metal, I'm not going to listen to it.
Yeah.
While people who are general music fans, let's just call it general music, they'll listen to this artist, and this artist, even though they have nothing to do with each other. But they will listen to them because they actually just enjoy the music.
Now, I remember years ago, I had a friend who, always wanted to introduce music to me, and if I tried to do it in return, he would say, like, well, are they a screaming band? Like, because he got into hardcore a lot at this time, and every time I would try to show, is it a screaming band? And it's like, no, it's not. And then he just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like I got really big into Falconer at one point, and then found no interest in it whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't his style, sure, but for whatever reason, he always kind of changing styles, and at that time he was like, it's this or nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not how this works. Like you gotta keep an open mind for this kind of shit, especially with music, because music is a matter of passion.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta, you can't just get, your, for lack of a better term here, you can't just get your rocks off to one style. I mean,
No.
that sounds so minimalistic.
You gotta switch it up. Go righty instead of lefty. Do the stranger.
Too strange.
Little Dave Chappelle for you there. I mean, come on.
Yeah. How much time are you got?
Oh, I don't have to leave until like 7 o'clock,
Okay.
7:30. So it's 6:30.
Okay. So yeah, I think that I think we've said all we can about that.
Yeah.
Since we've been mentioning it a bunch, mentioning the soundtrack for it a bunch. Our original idea for a discussion was going to be your take on the new Bohemian Rhapsody biopic for Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Now I haven't seen it yet, but you were explaining some things to me a few weeks ago.
Yeah, last weekend.
But go on, tell me about this movie.
Well, I was a fan of the movie, and number one, I went into it knowing that it's based on a true story.
It's going to be an exaggeration. They're going to stretch.
There's going to be things that are changed, clearly.
Of course.
They're going to cut things out. They're going to condense things because they only have about 2 hours to fill in the entire history of Queen. And what they do here is they follow Queen from when they were Smile, right before Freddie Mercury joined the band, up until the Live Aid performance in 1985.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that they have to kind of condense. There's events that happened after 1985 that they put in 1985. For instance, Freddie Mercury did not find out he was diagnosed with AIDS until 1987. They put him finding out right before Live Aid. And there was also issues with some of the chronology of when albums came out or when songs were released. Chronology of, I mean, they put in a scene where the band broke up. And apparently they weren't playing for years right before Live Aid, but which, if you know the history of the band, they just got off tour a couple of weeks before Live Aid, so it's not like they were rusty or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They threw in a lot of dramatics, which you expect.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is still a Hollywood picture.
I saw a headline that said the movie does well by Queen, but not necessarily by Freddie Mercury.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the main focus of the movie is Freddie Mercury. So he is the focal point.
Okay.
So any kind of drama that is caused in the movie is caused by Freddie Mercury. So he did develop a drug problem. He was influenced by a bad manager who was trying to take advantage of him. Things of this nature.
Death on Two Legs.
And they kind of played up on that a lot more than what was actually happening on with the whole band. Like you mentioned that you read that they made the rest of the band look like angels in comparison. But the thing is, for dramatic purposes, they had to do that. They had to make one antagonist in the whole group, and they chose to make it Freddie Mercury because it is his movie.
Yeah. Now I understand that they for most of their career they did have some quarrels, especially later on. And I think even in the liner notes for A Night at the Opera, Freddie Mercury is noted to be, vocals and this and that and the other things and tantrums.
Well, my favorite line of the movie is they're recording Night at the Opera, and they're arguing about songs that are going to go on the record, and they're specifically arguing about "I'm in love with my car." And that's like it becomes the punchline of the movie, or one of the punchlines of the movie is like they keep on making fun of Roger Taylor about this car, and they're fighting and fighting and fighting, and then Freddie Mercury walks in, and then he just walks out saying, "Listen, there's only room for one queen in this band," and he walks out. So that's kind of like the mentality that they've kind of portrayed, that he started to become a little bit obsessed with his fame and a little bit more obsessed with Queen as this huge entity and stuff like that. But I think in general, if you go in there not as a fan, don't if you know the history of the band, if you know anything like that, try to see the movie objectively. These guys are making a movie based on a life, not a movie of the life. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're not. This is not a documentary.
Yeah.
This is not a documentary. This is a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
So they have to change things. They have to switch things up. They have to add drama and tension and antagonistic parts. And some might say it's at the expense of Freddie Mercury, but the fact of the matter is that because he is the focal point, they have to do it like that. There was also some complaint I read about where they were kind of gay washing him. Well, he did have his relationship with Mary Austin, but then he broke off their engagement, and not because he was bisexual, but they flat out turned him gay.
Okay.
They just flat out turned him gay.
No, he was bisexual.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's dated after Mary Austin and him broke up. He dated several men and several women, but in the movie he's just men. Like they use that as the cause of some of his problems, which is a little disconcerting.
Yeah, that's especially nowadays in 2018. That's
Well, the one thing is, I'm just glad that they didn't just completely wash over it.
Yeah.
Like they did not go into the fact that he was gay or bisexual, that he did play for both sides on that front. I'm glad they didn't hide that away. I'm also glad they didn't hide away the fact that he, did have drug problems. Like I wasn't really fully aware of that, but after watching the movie, then reading up about it, he did have some issues.
Yeah, I remember reading about the release party for Jazz, and like pretty much it was like the single most extravagant thing I've ever heard. But the one of the things that I latched onto was that they had little people carrying around plates that had lines of cocaine on them.
Yeah, that would do it.
So
yeah, but again, these are mostly complaints that I've read and I've had for myself as a fan of the band.
Yeah,
a lot of the bashing that's going on about this movie is from musicians and music historians.
Yeah,
like they're not talking about the movie itself. Now, when you talk about the movie itself, the performances, Rami Malek is fantastic. I thought as Freddie Mercury, he got the flamboyance, he got the reclusiveness, the shyness of Freddie Mercury when he's off stage. his movements down. He nailed just about every aspect of Freddie Mercury's personality and physical appearance.
Right on.
The guy that got to play the rest of the band members look just like the band members. It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brian May's actor looks like fucking Brian May, and they nailed those performances are really good too. Like the body movements, the guitar movements. They really did their work in studying the band to produce a spot-on performance of the band.
Okay.
Some of the pacing is a little off.
As you said, they cover certain things at the wrong time.
Yeah, they cover certain things at the wrong time. They also make the studio session scene really easy. Like they have a whole bunch of tension, and all of a sudden John Deacon plays the riff to Another One Bites the Dust, and everything's okay. It's like that sounds really good.
That's how I solve all my problems.
Yeah. So there's things like that, but I went into it knowing that there's going to be changes because I was a big fan of Walk the Line.
Yeah.
I knew that was a dramatic take on Johnny Cash's life. Yeah. This was going to be a dramatic take on Freddie Mercury's life and the life of Queen.
I'm wondering, because I saw Straight Outta Compton, and I'm wondering exactly how much of that is subject to what we're talking about.
Well, the good thing about it is IMDb is that when you go into IMDb, I mean, you find out a lot of stuff in the trivia section about what they changed and what they kept the same and what fact versus fiction kind of thing. So I read that prior to seeing the movie, and I was like, all right, so I know some of the things that are going to happen and some of the things that are going to change, and so I won't be disappointed or I won't be upset.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought the movie was really good. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The last 20 minutes is pretty much their Live Aid performance.
Yeah.
Recreated almost like note for note and line for line, movement per movement. It's pretty spectacular. The recreation of that.
It's cool.
And one of the best lines of the movie was is after Freddie Mercury reveals to his bandmates that he has AIDS right before Live Aid. He's like, "We're gonna go there. We're gonna play this show. And we're gonna blow the roof off of Wembley Stadium." And then John Deacon's like, "But it doesn't have a roof." It's like, yes, somebody knows their stadiums. This is fantastic. I love it. It's little things like that are really good. There's a lot of really subtle and small jokes in there that get you, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. One thing that distracted me though was the first third of the movie is before Freddie puts on his mustache, and you can just see the prosthetic they put in Rami Malek's face to make him have that significant overbite, and it's distracting. It's like I wish they could have done a better job of hiding this thing that they put in his face, because you can tell it's not natural. You can tell it's not part of him, and it's distracting to watch. But once you put the mustache on him, and once you get to that iconic look of Freddie Mercury, it's not even noticeable.
Gotcha. So all in all, pretty good movie.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. I would definitely recommend seeing it. As a fan, as a non-fan, it's just somebody who's interested in it. I mean, it's just I thought it was an interesting movie. Okay. I thought it was really good. I had a lot of fun watching it.
Okay. One last thing before we close out, since I actually wanted to do one quick thing. So in the last month, I've gone to a handful of shows. So I wanted to talk about a few of them because I try to spend my weekends. I have on my to-do list every week now. I have assessed calendar to make sure that I'm not missing a show that I wanted to go to. But a couple things I want to talk about. First of all, friends of ours, Monkey Soup. I believe what they're doing right now is currently kind of putting it on the back burner, and they started up a whole new band called Hellgrim.
I saw you post that on Instagram.
Yes.
And I saw Jerry. I was like, well, I thought maybe that might have just been like another band, or he was filling in, or.
When I spoke to him after the show, he said, "If I have to play Little Pink Dots one more time." So So Helgrim is their new group. They're actually already in the studio. They played 3 shows total so far, but they're already in the studio recording a full-length album.
Oh, wow.
And I caught them live this past weekend, and the music sounds good. If you've heard anything from more recent Monkey Soup, they're not. It's not tongue-in-cheek. They're a straightforward 3-piece band playing rock metal.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's what you would expect from that formula, because Erica's singing, still on drums. Jerry's playing guitar, but he's doing a lot more of actual riffage and virtuoso shit that he does, and they have a new bass player. So I saw them this past weekend, and they were fucking great. Actually, seeing before them was a band called The Bastard Son, which is here in San Antonio. I believe in here in San Antonio. And I often, because I'm an old man and I like to just go to see who I want to see and go home. I wasn't expecting to catch any of the opening acts, but I arrived at such a time that they were still on stage, and these guys were actually really fucking good. I came in right when they started playing a cover of NIB by Black Sabbath, so already we're off to a great start.
Yeah.
Rest of it was pretty grungy, groovy. Jerry actually kind of referred to them as a little bit like Clutch.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it was really good stuff. Very, very, very groove heavy. And I actually really enjoyed it. So I had to get a picture and follow them on. I believe I followed them on Facebook. But I highly recommend them. They're called The Bastard Son. But yeah, awesome show. Another one I want to mention that took me completely by surprise, and it was actually I was so into it that I forgot to take a picture. It was a band by the. It was not a band, but like it was a one-person show basically, and she had a whole backing thing, and it was called Vanilla Sugar, and it was basically all the instruments and whatnot were recorded and put into a computer. And she just, basically pressed play on it and had it set up to a T when she would come in with her parts and whatnot. And I was actually very much just amazed at what I was seeing, because even as she was by herself on this stage filled with whatever props that she had, but she owned it. It was incredible. I was so just enamored by the performance, and then I liked it enough that I wanted to go see it again. Because she played a place called the Bang Bang Bar, and I got there a little bit late, but I caught the last few bits of her set there, and it's just her and props and the sound bits, and I was filming the rest of the first show that I went to. And I filmed her set there, but normally I take a picture to put on Instagram, and I forgot because of the fact that I was like, this show is really cool.
What kind of music was it?
It's basically like electronic metal.
Huh.
A little that Static X style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a female vocalist, and she got she put on the best show that she could with what she had, and I was like, this is awesome.
That's awesome. Good for her.
So yeah,
I remember I played a show when I was in a band way back when, with a band who didn't have a drummer. All their drumming parts were programmed into a keyboard, and they just played to that. Like they covered only by Anthrax, but like that. It was intense.
Desona did the same thing when I saw them, because I think Desona was a 4-piece, but they didn't have a bass player.
I think I remember you telling me about that, yeah.
So they had the bass all done, actually, I think it was in Reaper, which we used to record our show. I was just thrown off because I'm trying to remember the reason for the show. Oh, it was a thing called the Fits and Frets show.
Oh yeah,
And
you're
it
talking
was
about that.
it was a thing that the Fitzgerald's Bar down here wants to do as kind of like a yearly thing, kind of like a little mini festival. And I'm looking at the bill, and I was kind of like, Vanilla Sugar. That sounds like a strange name, you know.
It sounds like a cookie.
Like Vanilla Fudge, that kind of thing. And I can barely remember the rest of the show now because I was just so into this one artist. It was so cool. So bravo to
Vanilla Sugar.
Vanilla Sugar for making a new fan. I actually bought a T-shirt and everything.
Oh
so,
wow, there you go.
Yeah. So.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. But that was it. Other shows that I've seen, I've talked about Seance a billion times. I could finally fucking hear the lead guitar. After many times of seeing them and not hearing them, I could finally hear Bob's guitar. But I saw them play for Nacho's wife's birthday.
Okay.
And as always, they put on a great performance. They're playing a lot of random. I feel like they're playing some newer stuff. I think they're getting ready to, finally release something. But always great to see them live. I saw a good Rogering. Love watching them play. They are a great band. So I've been just going to a lot of shows as much as possible, and trying to show my support for the local acts around here, and elsewhere, because Vanilla Sugar's from Houston.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. But just because I wanted to mention.
Because we haven't been doing that as of late. We haven't been doing
not really,
shows.
Not really,
like
because of the fact that I've been seeing a lot of the same ones over and over.
Yeah.
Because again, I catch Seance almost every time they come around.
And I haven't been to a show in forever.
I've caught Red IV, I think twice lately, and their new stuff sounds good. Like, if I don't know if you've heard the EP or not, the original EP.
I think I have it. I don't know if I don't really remember.
Well, the new stuff that they played at one of their most recent shows was fucking phenomenal. They actually played with Celestial Descent, who I've seen now about 3 times. And
I know the name.
And they are great. And they were opening up for Sky Harbor, who is like kind of a progressive metal band.
I've heard that name too.
Yeah, and they were wow. Like,
I think I might have listened to one of their records. It might have been streaming.
Maybe you did.
Because that name sounds very familiar.
They just released an album in September.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, they are fucking good.
Huh.
So I've been here, there, and everywhere lately, seeing a bunch of shows. So, but it's you don't want to sit there and keep mentioning the same bands over and over, because I'm gonna tell you that it's always
good.
Yeah, they may change up a few things, but I'm always gonna enjoy it. I don't think I've ever seen any local band that any of the main local bands that I talk about. I don't think I've ever seen a bad show from them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't want to have to keep mentioning them because they're always gonna be good. I'm kind of bummed that I'm gonna be missing out on, or I missed out on a show last night. Since Saturday, because it was called Hellfest 5. Nasty Savage headlined, but like Bifist played, which I haven't seen Bifist in a long time, and I want to see them again.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. So, trying to do what I can, obviously within reason. But yeah, that's been what's been going down. So I think we're going to call it there.
Yes, sir.
Because Warrior needs food badly.
And he needs to go to work.
He needs to go to work. So I think we'll make our curtain call. Until next time, I'm Dan Mack.
And this is Chris Mack.
And we will see you next time.